Our next guest is Saada Ali. She is a spoken word priestess and an activist. And she's here because she has a lot to say about what's happening in her community, in the country, and just extrapolating it, right, Janet?
Absolutely. Yes.
Hey.
Evo too.
You came here and you told her, I've met Saada.
Yes. I met Saada. She was very quietly watching and the conversation was going on. Then when she spoke, we were like, Allah, Saada. You have all this context. And you know, it's important that we get that context. Women and girls in the coast.
Yep.
How often do we center those conversations? We have similar issues across the country, but how do they uniquely affect different communities? So hopefully after Saada, there'll be many more that we get, not just from the coast. Are we going to Northeastern? Are we going to Western? However it affects you in your community, I think is what is important.
Good morning and welcome, Saada.
Vipi hali zenu?
Salama kabisa.
Umeamua kuanza hivyo?
Hatujambo sisi, hatujui wewe.
It's so nice to be here. I love how active and fresh you are. And Janet, you're looking gorgeous as always.
Oh, thank you.
And
right? We told her this.
Yeah. And in a world where people are still searching for light, Janet, you're not waiting for it. You are it. Your presence reminds us that, your presence reminds us that hope is not coming. It's always been here, unwavering and unyielding, pulsing through every word you speak and every voice you amplify. And I offer this prayer, may the universe never let your light falter the same way you saw mine and chose to lift it. And may the universe guard your flame with the same grace you have poured into guarding ours.
Please leave it there. Otherwise,
that is so beautiful.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
Not
Karibu
a whisper in the world, but a voice that shakes foundations. Greetings. My name is Saada Ali, a wordsmith of the highest order, a conjurer of language, and a keeper of rhythm's deepest secrets. I do not simply speak, I channel power, truth, and revolution. For the seen and the unseen, for the muted and the unmuted, for the stoppable and the unstoppable. You cry for change, you plead for leaders worth following, you dream of a dawn that does not betray you, and now the answer breathes before you. So I'll let these questions hang. What do you do when the one you prayed for sits before you? Will you rise to match the weight of what you summoned? Over to you.
Where? Oh. That is how you begin. That is how. Janet.
Sasa maswali zianze wapi?
Mpatie quote kwanza.
Thank you.
Mpatie quote kwanza. Today's quote, Janet.
Must I really? After what we've just heard.
Just to get us back there to grounding. So that we can
get into the conversation.
Yes.
We appreciate your words, Saada. Today's quote is by James Baldwin, an American author, civil rights activist, somebody who wrote so and spoke so beautifully and specifically about the African-American experience as well. And he said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. How does that land with you? Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
I really love that. I find that quote to be so grounding because at the end of the day, not facing things is what grows the monsters in our lives because we are usually sweeping things under the rug. We don't want to look at things. So when you look at things, change is guaranteed. Doesn't matter what direction you'll change to, for the negative or for the positive, but change will happen. And through change, you grow. And when you grow, you're living. But if you do not face it, now you're hindering your own growth. As hard as it may be, you have to face it. So I love that.
Wow. Yeah. You have to face it so that it can be changed.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted you to come here and talk a little bit about the experience of women and girls in the coast. I know that I've read here, women make up 50.3% of the coast's populations. Is that a good place to start? Mariam, Eric?
No,
yeah. Mariam, did you have an inroad that you wanted to, based on what she said? Because I can see
and there was so many, the wheels are turning. I was trying to hang on to as much of it as I could. I'm like, maybe, I don't know, you'll send us the like a link, where we can find that, because there's so much I picked. But yeah, I think that's a really good place to start. 50.3% of the population, and countrywide the statistics are more or less the same. It's like 51-49 women to men. But that often isn't felt in representation, in education, in government, in the arts sometimes. What does that look like in the coast? What does the representation of women look like?
I love that question, and it's fascinating, isn't it? In a country where most of the population are women, their voices are the most suppressed. And you see, when you go to the coast, I think it's actually because of the culture. Women are given specific roles that they're supposed to partake. And so the roles like representation, you know, having your voice, speaking out, they're very much told you're not supposed to do that. So it's not that they're not women who can represent, but they're not allowed the space to. There are many of them, amazing women. You sit with them in the streets and you hear them speak, and they have these ideas, and you're like, wow, what's limiting you? They'll give you a culture reference, and you're like, this runs so deep, women with so much potential, and you just see them just limiting themselves in their homes. You're like, you can do such great things. What can I do to help you? So when I met you, actually you grounded me, Janet. Before the episode, I was mad. I was like, women, in whose hands are we safe? In whose hands are we safe? But when she came in, she was like, in spaces like this, we are safe. So we embody the change we want to. So that's the bigger part of why I'm here. Like, we can do it. You can speak out. You can voice out your concerns. You can step into rooms and claim them. Actually, when you're a woman, you're more powerful. Like, you're a creator, so you hold more power. And I think the shift is the voices that have been suppressed most, we need to shift and amplify them and see how things will change. Even if it's just like an experiment, you know. A wise man always re-strategize, is ready for re-strategizing. So let's try and put women first and see, because the divine feminine is harmony, not threat. So erasing it erases harmony. So that's what we want, harmony.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we have to ground ourselves. Otherwise, you'll just wake up jaded. You have to find spaces where you can push for. But you've talked about cultural limitations. What are some of those that exist in the coast that hinder women or limit women? Just one or two examples.
I'll give one which has really traumatized me, and for years, and is child brides. Though it's decreasing, but it's so traumatizing in ways you can't even believe. I'll give you guys a story. There is a girl who was wedded off at 8 years, when she was 8 years, and she had not even started menstruating. So the girls just give me, I'll stay with her until she starts to. And the girl, when she used to come back to her place, to her mother's place, she used to run, saying she doesn't want to go back home, because telling her friends that he touches me in a weird way. And the man now couldn't, because her menses delayed. So the man, to get his pleasures, used to go and sleep out with other women. And in turn, he got HIV, gave it to the girl when she started her menses, and then made her pregnant twice, and gave her so many infection. The girl ended up dying at 12. You see, and it's not even like, you can't even tie it to anything, because it was like a crazy reason. The mother got married to this man, and she didn't want to have a stepchild, and she wedded her off. You see, those kind of things, and for some reason, I feel like, to some extent, we are our own enemies. You know, sometimes we do things, you can see things in the society. You can't wed a 8-year-old. Who are the people who went to the wedding? Who are the people who officiated the wedding? What's going on? Because it's not people from other communities, it's from our communities. And if you continue to do such a thing, even the thing that says a girl can get married immediately they start their menses, and per se I start my menses at 9 years old, you can't marry me off at 9 years old. Come on, you're the adults. And you can't, when a woman starts her menses, her creation is on, her creation energy. There's no way you're not empowering her to create her own life. Instead, you're attaching her immediately to a man. Immediately, her creation energy is on. Instead, let her build herself, because women are not brides in waiting. They're leaders in training. And we should educate them that.
Is this changing?
It actually is, but you know, kuna, let alone coast Mombasa, kuna Lamu, Ndau, there are those islands huku ndani ndani. It's crazy, my goodness. Like, people don't have food and they'll marry off their children because they want that ease. And it's a lot. And I'm talking from people like I know personally. And they're like, I can't even give food to her. Let me just read her if she's young. And they go, they meet such weird traumas. And you're like, damn, that was too intense for a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old.
So economic marginalization exacerbates this and sees that these cultural practices are continuing. And even when you're trying to push back against them and fighting them, you still would not be able to. I'm just looking at the statistics that we have even for education. Enrollment, the coastal counties, primary level, many of the counties are above, of course, above 50% across the country. If I just start by looking at counties outside of the coast, primary school enrollment, Nyandarua has 95.3% total, Kiambu 93.7, Muranga 93.2, Kitui 92.5, Machakos 92.6. And if I compare that to the coast, we have Tana River 57.1% primary school enrollment, 91.6% in Taita Taveta. The second highest is Mombasa at 88%, Kwale 78%, Kilifi 87%, Lamu 85%. But if you look at the girls, in primary school, you find there's a higher percentage of girls in most of the counties than boys in primary school. When you go to secondary school, Mombasa enrollment drops from 88% in primary to 44.9% in secondary. And many of them, you'll find 44.1% are boys, 45.7% are girls. And Kwale has 24% enrollment in secondary school. Remember, it was 78.9% of primary. Many of them just drop off. Look at Lamu, 33.8% from 85.2%. And when it comes to girls, 35%, boys, 31%. So secondary school enrollment basically in the coast is just primary school, and then you get to that age that you're talking about. This is the age when they're marrying off. This is the age when they're going to look for employment as young boys. They're looking for economic opportunities, so they don't go to secondary school.
Wow, that is really stressing. You know, that's the thing I was about to say. Children, like, they drop off out of school, out of nowhere. You just find a girl, she's in class 7, boom, she's not in school anymore. Even in Mombasa, cases of police calling in, where is your child not in school, like trying to come in and stop child bride weddings. There are a lot. Actually, in the small areas, actually the big cities, it's so much. You live in Rwanda, and they do it in secret. It's like, it's a must. And you know, more of just being women, I think the whole giving birth thing should not be so, I don't know. I wish I could make childbirth like not so accessible. It's crazy because people, sometimes it's the funds. A mother has 17 kids, maybe the father runs off. She's there. She gets to class 8, she can't do it anymore. High school, the fees is more. What do I do with these children? Marry them off. They send them to like the Arab countries to work, the boys, you know. But if you're sending the boys to go on, I think also send the women to go on, because if you marry me off because you wanna ease your burden, and I go get pregnant and have several children, and then something similar happens because it's a pattern, you're my mother. So when I come back to your house, I've come back with more burden than I would have if I was alone.
We're several years into devolution now. Have you seen any big changes as far as reductions in whether it's child marriage, whether it's school enrollments, because these are still really low? What, in your opinion, has devolution done or not done to help this? I look at, for example, Kilifi and Tana River's enrollments for secondary school attendance. 17.1% is really low for Tana River. 19.1%. That means over 80% of the kids in these counties are not in school, and the women and girls specifically. What has devolution done or not done?
Honestly, I think it has tried, but you know, the most dangerous type of infection is an idea. Once it settles deep in your mind, it festers, and it subconsciously until it, it consciously until it subconsciously affects your reality. So there are some things you can't just remove from people. So the devolution will be there, but people at the depth of the places, you can't convince them. Some people will fight you because it's a tradition, you know. This girl should get married to this 8-year-old man. You're not gonna do anything about it. They rather fight you, they rather chase you you out of there, you know. So I feel like the thing could be, we educate the people themselves, you know. You tell somebody that you do not wait for hope outside, you should be. When you empower somebody in their soul, you shift something in them, eventually they'll shift their outside environment because you did a timeless shift in them. So I think that's more of what should be done. Yeah.
Yeah, that the law itself isn't enough. It's the inculcating it even into part of everyday life. And you know, hearing the numbers for Tana River and Kilifi, both places I've briefly interacted with the issues. I know Tana River, there was a school where the headmaster actually showed, was like, come and see the classes and see how the girls get less. So you literally see, and he said, right now we only have 2 and we're fighting for them to at least complete their class 8. And it's the same thing. And for them, there was environmental factors because there's issues around climate change. They have to find literally greener pastures. And they say the best way to do that is uproot and move. So it's true. How do you then move from law to making communities aware that this is better for you? So are communities open to changing, or do they feel like, no, we have our way of doing things, the law says one thing? Or are you finding more and more? For example, I know in Kilifi, there's a section where they're beginning to understand that through sports for change, girls are able to stay off the streets more and stay playing football. And then the parents were also brought in to be told, please, we need you to be an ally to this. Without the parents, it was just an idea. How are communities adjusting to a push for progress for girls and women? Are they open to it? I know you've mentioned that some of them don't want it, but more and more, are there ways to get more communities on the same page, that it's better for girls and women to have progress? Are you seeing that?
Actually, yes. As much as there are people, you know, there must be people too who are vichwa ngumu somewhere. But on the other side of things, there are people who are willing, because we have conversations there. You know me, what I do, I try to preach it like gospel. You see why religion has stuck for centuries and centuries? Because they used to preach it. Me, when I'm at home, a girl could just come saying, hi, you look good. I'm like, come, let me tell you something. You know this, and do you have time? Like gospel, I'm preaching it. And people are willing to listen, especially the youth. There is still a challenge that they say, when mtoto mdogo, like unaongea nini, watu wazima ndo wanajua, they are the wiser people and what. But the thing is, youth activism is not emotional noise. It is generational intelligence. We are not the future, we are the consequence of the silence. You know, so I'm like, I'm talking because the older generation didn't. Because me, I once told my uncle, I told him, I try to keep quiet, but I can't, it's in me. I swear it's in me. I can't help it. I just, if I'm quiet, I feel like my soul is troubled. I have to speak out, even if things don't, actually they do concern me because we're living in this world. So especially something like my community, we need to empower women in ways we are grounding them that you guys have power. You know, they feel like we've been told the men are the ones, you know, the men will take care of this, you women just sit and cook. You know, it's something so natural. What are you doing here with the discussions? Go and cook. No, we want to be involved too. We are not asking for a seat at the chair. We created the table. Yeah,
you own the table.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up, Saada?
I grew up in partially Mombasa and Nairobi.
Okay. So in the community that you grew up, in your experience as you're growing up, as you're going through school, from your community, your neighborhood, what did you observe in terms of just education and the mindset of your fellow children as you were going through school?
Wow, that's a nice question. I find that people usually view people who are going to school like you already hold a higher place, right? Especially if you're a woman, especially if you're progressing. But there's this mentality. If things just get slightly hard, slightly tricky, they're like, you know, you could just get married. You know, like, even the ones who are supporting it, like at the end of the day, like a father will tell the girl, I don't see the need of taking you to university and you'll eventually get married and go to your husband, you know. So there's that mentality which pushes us back, because why would you want your daughter to be at the mercy of a random man? You don't even know his real intentions, right? But if you empower your daughter, you put her in a position where she can, you know, you can't have control over any damage that could be done, but you could equip somebody with tools that they could be able to maneuver through that. And another thing, they do support but you'll find them constantly mentioning that, you know, you don't have to. You know, it's not really that important. You know, you could go and study religion instead. You know, why don't you put as much effort as you're putting in these studies like you would put in the Quran? It's not bad, but I mean, we are living in a world where
like
this is
one versus the
yes,
other.
yes.
What about the women leaders of the coastal counties? Any impact that can be felt? Because ideally, you know, representation should lead to something changing on the ground, whether it's more girls being in school, whether it's sanitary towels, whether it's communal engagement to get people to shift. But have you seen anything like that?
Well, to be honest, not really. There are laws, they do speak, but they do not act. And I think that's the worst type of thing you can ever do. See, you can actually just be quiet. You don't have to say things and not go a step further and not fulfill them. But, you know, with the laws, even when the police do something, you'll find people will give money and the case will be dissolved. So we are not helping. And you find that the problems is like a chain of it. It's not one, and there are people connected. So if the police can come to your place, stop a child bride, and then be given money and he stops doing what he came to do, what are we really doing? And the female politicians, actually, they're more of, I don't know how to say it, they're not doing things to help, they're doing things to prove each other maybe differently or something, like some kind of
competition?
Yeah, like this real life dramas, like young, famous, and African. I'm like, are you guys acting a series or are we governing?
Right.
You know, there's some time I was even trying to get to one of the female leaders, and I was like, could you hand me the seat for 40 days? Is there something we can do? Because I feel like I can do so much. And we are told you have potential, but your actions prove otherwise. But me, I know I do have potential. So could we find a way to prove that? But yeah.
Can we work differently?
Yeah.
There's a socialization issue here that, you know, because this is what we have grown to see, that we expect that we are doing things the same way. But I think the whole thread comes back to economic disempowerment for me. Because as you're hearing, like Saada, you're saying, you get to a certain level and you're told, well, why are we struggling so hard to just put you through school? Well, we could
There's
have
an option.
There's an option here. Why am I struggling so hard? When a father is saying, why should I be struggling so hard to take you through school, and yet you're going to get married? Basically, what this man is saying is, I just can't afford it. And I'm looking for just any reason and any excuse to give you to just say that's why I'm sending you. Let's come back and talk about then the economic empowerment of the coast that would then elevate and empower the girl and the women of the coast. Saada Ali is a spoken word priestess. She's an activist. She's here in the studio today. We are talking about the plight of the women and girls at the coast, and also just the entire coast province in terms of, not province, but the entire coast region in terms of just empowerment. Fixing the nation, one conversation at a time. We'll be back shortly. Our fixer this morning is Saada Ali from the coast. She's a spoken word princess, and she's priestess. Unmuted girls and women of the coast. We are talking about this, and Mariam, you have very many questions and feedback as well.
I do have so many questions. Now let me begin with now who are diviners? We'll explain that. Sadia is actually bringing a tradition of utenzi to the public forum. This spoken word has always been the Swahili tradition as a way of communicating messages within. That's from Bibi Usuni. So utenzi ndio spoken word kwa Kiswahili. That's really good to hear. I have plenty of questions. Maybe you can explain to us what a diviner is, but I also want to talk about the intersection between child trafficking, sex tourism, and the level of economic empowerment or disempowerment for women and girls at the coast. How those things hizo tatu zinapatanaje. But let's begin with what a diviner is. Ndio Emmanuel asisema farmlight asisema hajaelewa. Yeah.
Farmlight, I think anamaanisha divine. Divine is something holy. basically. And please ask me the question again.
So the second one was basically how sex tourism and child trafficking and the disempowerment of girls and women at the coast, how they intersect, how they feed each other, and what you've seen from your own experiences.
Wow, that question is heavy, and I'm gonna tie it to what you were saying. It all ties to financial problems, yeah? Because you'd find these things are so normalized. Where I had it from once was from my very young child. Was like, damn, even me with all my ears, I didn't know of this. There are specific locations where you're told, here you'll find a mzungu, here you'll find a what, and they're the ones who ask for weird requests. So as a girl close to me, a young one, she was like, hey, I've just gotten a weird request. So she was kind of asking me, not like, is it wrong or right? She's like, how do I do it? And I was like, so you've been doing it? And I had to act cool. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Could you tell me more? And they have this group of their friends where they go fish for these men who want small girls, and particularly not even young, but also petite. Like they need the smallest thing, I'd put it like this, the smallest thing closest to a child, the youngest they can get. You know, and it was so sickening. And I remember I was like, this thing needs to be reported. But then I'm like, damn, society always flips it back to the girl. Where did you get these connections? What were you even going to look for? You know, but if you are to tell the girl, this is super weird, why are you being instructed to do things like this? You talk to them until the girl was like, yeah, this is messed. I was like, is it money? She's like, it's definitely money. All my friends, it's definitely money. We need money for even maybe just going to buy a drink, but you go tell your dad, he's like, I don't have the money. Do you have other siblings? You know, also ties back to unplanned childbirth. Like, I think we have this thing inside us, which is not bad, but it needs to be structured that women are just brought to this earth to give birth. You can't do that. So you find people with 17 children, 18, a whole football team with a coach and substitute players, you see. So, and then inakuja mahali inakuwa ngumu. So we need to plan better. Not just that you can give birth shouldn't mean you should, or you should just in any way you know. So you put even these children in weird situation, because sometimes it's just a bag of fries that a girl goes and gives up her dignity. You know, she just sees a cloth she's wanted for months, and she's like, you know. So we need to equip ourselves with things that we know like childbirth would entail. This is somebody's life you're partaking. And the more they grow, the more they need. So we should be ready financially. So the financial aspect is really big. And that's the thing. Today the child goes to the hotel, does the things. Tomorrow the child is nowhere to be seen. And there's this aspect of shame. So they don't speak about it, because the parents will be seen as failed parents. So I think a lot of child trafficking goes unnoticed, and you don't know what the trafficking led to. It could be worse things, terrible things.
Do you see government? Oh, sorry, Eric.
Go ahead.
No, but is there anything that government is doing? Do you see, for example, chiefs going out and trying to make sure if we had 30 girls in this classroom last week, this week we still have 30, you know, or a nyumba kumi type of thing where is this girl? You know, where has she gone? Where is this young boy? Where has he gone? He was seen with a tourist on the beach. Who is coming to intercept that? Like, what is the government response to especially the sex trafficking and the child sex trafficking?
I find that the government, even when it does something, it does it like a thrill of like excitement. You get the way you're excited about something, so you commit to it for a few days and then you completely let it go. So, but I was there, I think last month, there was a girl in the neighborhood that had not been seen in school. I think this CBC something, they're registered, so the school called, was like, we need to know where the girl is. And they had taken her out of school and they put her in a madrasa. And you know, now she stopped school, now she goes to madrasa, and now she'll come back to school, and now she'll have to repeat. You know, so it's not like don't take her to madrasa, but you started school, like let's finish that fast before we proceed to the next. So the government does things, but doesn't really follow up as much as needed. You know, you just don't come and tell somebody, where is your girl? And then you go completely quiet. You don't know, you didn't really follow up. So the follow-up needs to be more. There need to be more follow-ups,
What have you been doing in the community yourself, Saada, with the talent and gift that you have for spoken word and speaking to people?
Like I said, I love to channel, and when I'm writing, I'll speak from the spoken word perspective. I call mine zenith. Zenith is the highest emotion you can feel about something, and that's exactly what I try to channel. I try to shift you, your soul, your mind, your heart, in a way that what I'll talk about, you'll never see it the same again. You see, so, and I go for timeless pieces, and I go for pieces that I'm not telling you what to do, or I'm not telling you how things are. I'm reminding you who you are through me. So when I sit here performing, I am a mirror of you, of you, of you. And I want to ignite like enlightenment that aims for empowerment. That's what I go for.
Why do you perform? Do you like now go to the communities and say, I'm doing this? How then do you channel this?
First of all, charity begins at home. My family, they have to. I'm like, excuse me, guys, come. You need to listen to this. Yeah, especially somebody like my mom, you know, like my mom, like she's so, like she got married very young, and she's seen this perspective of life. And then, like I said, I'm the result of the silence. So I'm like, you need to see it this way, because I'm like, have you thought about it this way? Yeah. And like I also said, I'm like a preacher. I will stop you in the road, just dare smile at me. I'm like, come. Especially the women. I'm like, come. Don't beg. You created it. Don't beg, you know. And in the community, I'm always in. I always call people. I organize Zoom calls. I bring people from my community to go. I usually perform at Kenya National Theatre every Thursday, so I bring them there. I'm trying to make them see. And in the beginning, they were like, you know, you're crazy. What are you saying? What are these things? But they've started embracing. They're like, we're gonna come. This is beautiful. This is nice. They're like, oh, this is, and they're thinking. I'm like, yeah, this is what I mean. Let's go.
Agency, inviting them to find their voices through yours.
Yep.
What's the flip side? You were saying earlier during the break that sometimes your family is like, surely, so you just get married. What kind of pushback do you get from the community, from your family?
Well, a lot. First of all, they say like, example, I'll tell you, so unajiona siku hizi wenda unaongea, unaona, you know it all, right? All of a sudden, you are the wise girl. And people are saying, oh, why do you speak so perfectly? You're not even perfect. And I usually tell them, like, me, I don't claim that I didn't go through hell or something, or I didn't die. But who I am at the core is I am the person who resurrected. Like, not that I have been untouched by ruin, but I've chosen time and time again to rise from it. And that's what makes me stand out. Because I was like, yeah, that is really a beautiful thing. And I'm like, yes, I stand here not just whole, but wholly in my own resurrections. So, yeah. And they also say, like, oh, you know, all this is so tiring. You could just be at home and a man does everything for you. I'm like, no, ma'am. Like, you know, we come from a place that a man literally has to do everything to even, let's say, sanitary pads buy for you. Imagine how uncomfortable that is. And you know, somebody who provides everything for you has power over you. If today they don't give you food, you stay hungry. Goodness. Even if you say, okay, provide, but have a safety plan. Utakaa njaa, wezi.
Have a
you
safety
see, na maybe uko na ulcers utakufa, mami. So we need to come out, look for ourselves, you know. If we need the men to provide for us, I usually say men are supposed to be providers, but they provide services to us, not as bosses, but as servants, honestly. If you imagine a woman submitting to a man, it doesn't feel natural, but imagine a man on your feet. It just looks so royal. Like,
oh, how sad.
Regal.
I'm looking at the different intergenerational perspectives of submission. Case one.
You could do it that way, you could do it this way.
You could do it
this way. Have we considered it? I mean, let's give it a try, because we've done it the other way for generations.
But it's also
let's give it a try and see if it doesn't.
It has been co-opted as I go into. It's that thing where people are like, you know, wives submit. I'm like, you didn't finish reading the sentence. It says love them in return. Because then it becomes a natural almost response. And people confuse submission with subservience. They think you must be a dog. I'm like, no, you guys, we've completely co-opted this word. But that's funny. I like that perspective of, well, yes. It's almost like, I think what you're describing, it speaks to partnership. It speaks to a certain kind of dynamic where even though you're providing from a place of love as opposed to providing from a place of authority.
Yes,
I think that's, and again, by the way, people know these things. You just have to choose what works for you. How are you telling me not to tell somebody to submit? Are you high? But people know this. I think it just needs to be explained a bit more, you know?
The art, I was going to ask her about the art factor, because you use your words, of course, to reach people, to uongee kutoke pia, that's part of it, but it also does something for others. What does it look like in the coast? What does the art scene look like, especially vis-a-vis now political activism? Because sometimes we can be in a cocoon and think that everything happens in Nairobi. You know, every art show, every piece of rebellion, everything is just happening in one small town. What does that look like at the coast? Art for activism.
I think the art for activism is there, but Nairobi, we have the trophy at the end of the day. But yes, it does exist. Yeah. But I also feel like, I don't know if we just have this thing in us. We have a tendency of starting something with such high intensity. Like Coastarians, I think they rather focus on foods. Ata kupiga kura, I think you guys can check or something. Like the Coastarians are the people one of the people who least go to vote, because they're like, sami nitoke kwa nyumba niende nisimame hapo asubuhi ya nini, umeona mume wangu yuko kuja nimpikie, unaona, like wako tu zao. But they are really powerful voices in Mombasa, and right now they're rising. That's why I believe the shift is happening. You know, people are rising so much, especially the girls. You know, these days you find people standing up for themselves. The other day I was telling my cousin, I'm so proud of you. She told her mom, I am not going to get married. Take me to any course, even if it's computer, even if it's tailoring. And she's in college right now. I was like, this is beautiful.
And give me the option.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I think it comes down to options, right? It comes down to choice. You know, people would not be averse to it if it wasn't, number one, obviously, if you're too young, or if it's not shoved down your throat. Yeah. If you give somebody the choice, you'd be surprised. I think a lot of people would still be open. I like that I'm speaking like I know for sure. But I think they'd be open to partnerships. Yeah. But it's just that maybe on their terms. I think that's where the push and pull is.
And yeah, the options. I agree. It's, am I choosing to get into this union? Am I being made to get into this union? Am I choosing this course for my life, or am I being made to? And that, I think, is a thing that poverty takes away from people. It's agency, that freedom of choice, that ability to choose a life path and stick to it. When you think, Saada, of the women and girls at the coast, especially, the kind of bubble sometimes that they exist in, but they're trying to fight out of, what would you say is the biggest show of resilience? Because we can see the other side, we can see what's wrong, but what shows you that there's resilience here and there's a fight? People have a spirit of pushing and fighting.
I feel like the battle is not even the bubble they're in. Their battle is with themselves. It's like when you sit in shit for so long, the smell starts becoming normal to you, you know. So even the things they're doing, they realize they're in a bubble, but the things they're doing to get out of the bubble, like there's so much in the bubble that it's not really that effective. So it's not about realizing that they're in a bubble. It's realizing we are not trying to like pull the bubble down, tear it to pieces. We are trying to be like the opening to the bubble. So it's about them. That's why I love the thing of like preaching it, because you tell somebody, you enlighten something in them. It is you. We're not looking for a way outside of a box. We are looking a way outside of your own mind. It's your own enemy, you know. You stay in enemy territory for so long until you start becoming your own enemy, and that's worse, because the chains turn from physical and they become mental. You know, and mental chains are the craziest to ever break. But I'm proud that we are really trying, and we're going to continue to, you know, doing things like creating sisterhood programs, like Tandika Leso, like you said. I loved that idea, where you organize lessons, but there are few and people are many and they have to fit there. And let the girls just talk. Let the boys just talk. You know, we're not here to fight men. We are here to free everyone. Patriarchy hurts all of us differently, but deeply. You see, so that's what we want to do. We want to find balance in this world. It's not men and women. It's us realizing we've been thinking we are at a conversation table with men, but they've been assuming we're in a battlefield with them. And ours is not to fight back. back is to wonder, why is there even a fight in the first place?
Right.
That's what divine feminine is meant to do, to bring harmony, because feminine is wisdom, and then the world gains harmony. Like, guys, it's too hectic. I know you feel it in the air. We need balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have you've written something on that.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
Latif is like, swing it.
unleash
Right?
it? Drop it here. This is the time.
Okay, so I need you to feel which part of your leg is on the ground. And I need you to feel like you're stepping deep and there's a light going deep to the ground and bouncing back to the sky, and then it comes on your head and now your whole body is lit up. You're enough, you're enough, you're enough. Now breathe in, but through your legs. Don't breathe in from your mouth. Imagine the air going up to your head. Breathe in, absorb. Peace be unto you, around you, and most importantly, my darlings, within you. O you who believes, what do you believe in? O you who believes, do you believe in yourself? O you who believes, do you fathom that if belief in yourself is absent, then belief in anything else is weightless? O you who believes, do you feel it? Have you felt it? The tremor before the shift. Life is not measured in victories. Joy is not counted in flawless tricks. For even the sun, no matter how bright, knows the taste of the coming eclipse. For even the moon, no matter how divine, bows to the certainty of the design. You who believes yourself steady, have you not trembled at midnight? You who stand so tall in daylight, have you not felt the weight of your own height? You who calls yourself whole, have you not traced cracks in your own reflections? Even the gods go silent, even the stars forget their names. You ask for strength, but strength is knowing that weakness is not a curse, but a flame. For what is fire if not the hunger of the cold? What is light if not the child of the dark untold? You beg for happiness to be eternal, yet even the oceans have tides. You ask why sadness comes in waves, but have you not seen how even the mountains slide? You believe to be divine is to be untouched, but tell me, does the sky not weep when it must? Does the earth not shake when it feels too much? We seek for permanence, yet nothing in this world stays still. Not the winds, not the rivers, not even the gods you bow before in will. The fire does not burn you, it baptizes you. The silence does not erase you, it reintroduces you to yourself. The weight on your chest was never chains, it was your wings unfurling. Oh, you who believes, why do you fear the shift when even divinity must yield? Because faith, hollow or whole, it paves the paths before you. Belief, wavering or unwavering, it builds the bridges beneath your feet. And you, my darling, you are the storm, not the scattered leaves. Or you who believes, believe in yourself. Welcome.
Now, that's a beautiful. That's
Thank you.
beautiful.
That was amazing. Coming back to, I'm trying to come back to the
Which
present.
foot is on the ground?
Both feet are firmly planted on the ground.
Breathe through the feet.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful, Saada. Beautiful.
At the Grand Slam Africa, I will be reclaiming the bad child as divine as whole. So you guys are welcome. If you feel your presence could amplify the voice I am trying to, put out there.
You say that more and more people are seeing what you're doing and attending your events. And then what are they doing after they hear you?
So what I do is I have these meditation programs So it's basically what we do. When you get to the place, you don't have your phone. So we enter without our phones, barefoot, most likely somewhere with nature. If not so, just like that. And we do a whole, I love to call them ritual, where we cleanse, where we meditate, where we affirm, where we listen, where we try provide solution, whether mentally, emotionally, financially, because even if you have a problem of 1,000 shillings, I could give you 10 bob, you have 990, you know, just like that, anything we can do, because I wouldn't want us to come to an event and laugh and then you go cry in private, you see. And we laughed together. And then so we empower people with something that's so timeless, because we have awakened, we've made them remember the power in themselves. So eventually what I do is shift realities. You know, in life, all you have to do is look the other side. You know, when things are going bad, just shift perspective. So that's all I'm doing. Shift perspective in a way that when somebody gets out of there, they're like, wow, I do not echo the world echoes me. So I'm the one doing what is supposed to be done, and nobody is coming to save you. Like the savior, the Prince Charming, you always see, she'll come and it will be a figure, and when you look, it will be yourself, and you realize that your savior has always been yourself. So yeah.
Well, that's it. That's it. Saada, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Saada Ali is an activist. She's a spoken word, what?
Priestess.
In the next hour in Fixing the Nation, we shall be talking about a special report that aired on NTV last night on enforced disappearances, and the journalist who worked on that piece, Jürgen Nambeka, will be joining us. Keep it here. It's coming up to 9 a.m.